Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us. I was looking into this week's topic, and I gotta say I was pretty blown away by just how many livestock there are in Kenya.
Oh, yeah,
Millions and millions of cows and goats and sheep. I mean, they're like a fundamental part of life there.
it's true. I mean, for a huge part of the population, especially smallholder farmers, these animals are so much more than just livestock. Their income, food security, their whole social standing.
Yeah, it's not just agriculture, it's like their whole way of life.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that really hit me. Less than 1% of them are insured. 1%.
It's wild.
It's a
Yep.
pretty risky situation to be in, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It leaves them so vulnerable. You think about it. One drought, a disease outbreak, even just a string of bad luck, and their entire livelihood could be gone like that.
Yeah, it's a risk most of us wouldn't even consider taking.
Right.
And the current state of livestock insurance in Kenya, it doesn't really help either. The research we're looking at today, it paints a pretty clear picture of the challenges.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with the most obvious one, the cost. The average cow in Kenya costs what, like $500?
Yeah, around there?
And insurance premiums can be as high as 4.5% of that value every year.
Wow.
Imagine trying to insure a whole herd on that kind of budget. It's tough.
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're already working with such small margins.
Exactly.
And it's not just the price either, right? There's this lack of awareness and trust when it comes to insurance.
Totally. A lot of farmers have either never even heard of livestock insurance or they've had bad experiences in the past. Like complicated claims processes, delayed payouts.
Now,
It's
again,
a mess.
it's like this vicious cycle, right? Farmers need the insurance, but they're hesitant to buy it, and then the insurers, they can't really offer affordable products without a big enough pool of participants.
Yeah, it's a real stalemate. And then you've got the limited coverage to deal with, too. Most policies, they just cover death. What about the day-to-day risks like vet bills or emergency transport or lost income if an animal gets sick? Those can be just as devastating.
Yeah, so even if you can afford the premiums, you're not really fully protected.
Right.
It's like having car insurance that only pays out if your car is totaled,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
not if you get a flat tire or need an oil change.
exactly.
Not exactly comprehensive.
Not at all.
And then, of course, we can't ignore the big one, climate change. Kenya is already seeing these more frequent and more intense droughts, which means higher livestock mortality rates.
Exactly. Which in turn just makes insurance riskier and more expensive for the providers.
It's like a domino effect, with each problem just making the next one worse.
Yeah.
But, okay, before we get too doom and gloom here, let's talk about this group, Imfuyo. They're not just talking about the problems, they're actually trying to find some solutions.
Yeah, they've got this really interesting vision for what livestock insurance could be in Kenya. Instead of just accepting things as they are, they're looking at how to make insurance accessible and effective.
Okay, I like that. So what does Imfuyo's wish list for livestock insurance actually look like? What are the key changes they want to see?
Well, first off, they want comprehensive coverage. We're talking insurance that covers not just death, but also vet costs, emergency transport, even loss of income from illness.
So an actual safety net, not just something that breaks the second you need it.
Exactly. And they're not stopping there. They want to address the affordability issue.
Yeah.
So they're proposing these different premium models like installment plans, pay as you go, and even models linked to a farmer's cash flow.
Okay, so it's more tailored to their actual situation.
Right. And here's where things get cool. They want to use mobile technology.
Oh, interesting.
Kenya has a crazy high rate of mobile phone use, so they're looking at creating an app or a system where farmers can learn about, sign up for, and manage their policies from their phone.
So no more traveling miles to find an agent or dealing with mountains of paperwork?
Nope. And to build trust, they're also thinking about a data-driven claims process that uses things like livestock health records and even climate data to make payouts faster.
Less bureaucracy, more efficiency.
Exactly. And finally, they know you can't just force change from the top down. They want to work closely with local farming groups and co-ops and agricultural officers to spread awareness, clear up misconceptions, and really build trust in livestock insurance.
It's more of a holistic approach.
Yeah, recognizing that the solution isn't just about fancy tech or policies. It's about working with the community.
I like that. So it sounds like even though the situation now seems kind of bleak, Mfuyo's vision offers some hope.
Mm.
like a path to a better future for Kenyan farmers.
Exactly. But of course, the question is, how do they actually make this vision a reality? How do they overcome all those obstacles we talked about?
That's where it gets really fascinating, and that's what we're going to be exploring in part 2 of this deep dive.
Definitely.
So stick with us. You won't want to miss it.
So Imfuyo is really betting on technology to bridge that gap
No way.
between the vision and the reality of livestock insurance in Kenya. And one of their most innovative ideas involves animal tagging.
Yeah, I've heard a little about this. Animal tagging. So how does putting like a digital tag on a cow or a goat, how does that make insurance better and more affordable?
Okay, so imagine this. Each animal gets fitted with a tag that can track its location, monitor vital signs like body temperature, and even record environmental data like rainfall and temperature,
Oh, wow.
right, in its little area.
So it's like a Fitbit, but for cows.
Uh-huh,
I
exactly.
could see how that would be useful for farmers.
Right.
But what about for the insurance companies? Wouldn't all that data be too much for them?
Actually, it's the key to making insurance more precise and affordable.
Oh, okay.
So instead of relying on these generalized assumptions about risk, which often lead to those high premiums we were talking about,
Yeah.
insurers can use this real-time data to create personalized policies based on the actual circumstances of each animal and its environment.
So instead of like a one-size-fits-all, it's more like a tailored suit.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But can you give me an example? Like, how does this data actually translate into better insurance products?
Sure. Let's say the system picks up on a sudden change in the movement patterns or body temperature of a few tagged animals in a certain area.
Okay.
That could be an early sign of a disease outbreak.
Wow, it's like an early warning system.
Right.
For livestock diseases, that's pretty amazing.
It is. And with early detection, farmers can take steps to isolate sick animals, prevent the disease from spreading,
Yeah.
and potentially save their entire herd.
Right. So it not only protects the livelihoods of those farmers, but it also protects the whole livestock sector in Kenya.
Exactly.
That's incredible. What other benefits does this data offer?
Well, it can also show us the impact of things like drought or other environmental stresses on livestock health.
Okay.
And insurers can then use that information to maybe adjust premiums or offer help to farmers in high-risk areas before a disaster even hits.
So instead of reacting to crises, they can get ahead of them.
Yes, exactly. Moving from a reactive approach to a preventative one.
I see.
And this can then help rebuild trust and encourage more farmers to buy livestock insurance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But what about the farmers themselves? We've talked about how it helps the insurance companies, but how does all this data empower the farmers themselves?
Well, it gives them valuable insights into how to manage their livestock better.
Oh, okay.
Imagine being able to track your herd's movements, see their grazing habits, and identify areas where they're not doing so well.
Yeah.
That data can help you optimize grazing routes, adjust feeding strategies, and just ensure that the animals are getting the best possible care.
So it's like having a personal livestock consultant.
Right. And that knowledge and control can then lead to healthier livestock, higher productivity, and ultimately greater financial security for the farmers.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. And Imfuyo believes this data can even open up access to other financial services that a lot of farmers haven't been able to get before.
Like what kind of services?
Things like loans, savings products, even micro investment opportunities, by showing that they're managing their livestock responsibly using data.
Yeah.
Farmers can build creditworthiness and get access to financial tools to help grow their businesses.
That's like a whole new financial ecosystem built around livestock data.
Exactly. It's not just about protecting what they have.
Yeah.
It's about helping them build for the future.
I love that. But let's be realistic for a second.
Yeah.
We've talked about all the good stuff. But implementing a system like this in Kenya, it's got to have some challenges.
I
Drew.
think, of course, there are definitely hurdles.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest is the cost of actually putting this technology in place across the country.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about millions of animals in these huge and often really remote areas.
Yeah.
It's a big investment, not just in the tags, but in the whole infrastructure to support it all.
Right, because it's not just about sticking a tag on a cow.
Exactly.
You need internet access to send all that data.
Reliable internet.
Yeah. Storage systems that can handle it
Mm.
and a way to process it all in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. And that infrastructure is often missing in rural areas.
Right, which is exactly where most of the livestock are.
Yep. Bridging that digital divide is crucial, but it's definitely not easy or cheap.
Right. So you've got that technological challenge, but then there's also the human element.
Oh, for sure.
You can have the best tech in the world, but if the farmers don't get it or trust it, it's pointless.
You got it. Investment in training and education is key.
Yeah.
Not just on how to use the tags and the data, but also on how to understand that data and make good decisions with it.
It's about giving them the power to use it, not just be given the information.
Exactly, empowerment.
Yeah.
And then you have the bigger picture questions about data and technology.
Yeah, those always come up.
Like, what about privacy?
Right. Who owns the data?
Who owns it? How's it used? How's it protected?
Important questions.
Imfuyo knows this. They're working with policymakers and others to come up with rules and regulations to make sure the data is kept private and used responsibly and transparently.
Okay, good. So it's not just about the tech itself.
No.
It's about building a system around it that is ethical and sustainable.
Exactly. This is about more than just insurance.
Yeah.
It's about using tech to create a more resilient and fair agricultural system.
That benefits everyone.
That's the goal. It's a big challenge, but the potential is huge.
We're talking about more food security, better livelihoods for millions of farmers,
Absolutely.
and a more sustainable future for Kenya's livestock sector.
It's a vision worth working for.
Definitely. So I think as we wrap up our deep dive into livestock insurance in Kenya,
Yeah.
the main thing to remember is this. Even though there are challenges and there will be bumps along the way,
Always.
there's also so much hope and momentum to make things better for these farmers and their livestock.
And that's something we can all be excited about.
Absolutely. It shows how innovative people can be
Yeah.
and how committed they are to finding solutions.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Of course.
And we hope you keep learning more about this amazing work being done
Keep learning.
to unlock the potential of livestock insurance in Kenya and around the world.